Hey guys, Marmalade here with Marmalade Outdoors, and thanks for joining me for another video. This is one that I've been wanting to make for a long time, and it took me a while to research my points on this and really get it to where I wanted the main points I wanted to talk about. There are a lot more that I probably miss and not say, but these are the main ones that I think are important to know, and that is about trail etiquette. This drives me nuts. I don't know why, if it's because of my past. I was a golf professional and a top-ranked amateur for many years, and there's a lot of it's a polite sport. It's one of the only sports where you call a penalty on yourself, but there's a lot of rules and etiquette, and it's important to know those things. And yeah, we're all beginners and start somewhere, but there's so many people that are on the trail that either don't know the etiquette or don't care, and I think it's very important. So I haven't seen this topic talked about very much, so I thought it'd be interesting. So let's get on with it. I broke it down into 3 categories, and I had to 4 to 5. My camera started to blow over. It got really gusty and windy out here. But okay, so I broke this this video into 3 parts: on trail etiquette, in camp etiquette, and just general various types of etiquette that don't fall under any category. All right, so probably my number 1 pet peeve happens to be on trail, and that is people who do not know, whether you're day hiking or through hiking, that the person going uphill has the right of way. Believe it or not, it's the same law that we have in place for cars. If you get on a narrow road and somebody has to pull over for the uphill person has the right of way. So you can't expect when you're going downhill for somebody that's chugging uphill, especially when you're backpacking, you have a full backpack on, going up a steep mountain, and you're getting all your momentum going, and then why would the person going uphill have to keep stopping for somebody that's cruising downhill that can easily pull over and keep going again? So if you're not doing that, please do that, you guys. On the PCT, it happened to me nonstop. Thru hikers know that rule, but when I would get into areas, if I had a really long, let's say 100+ mile section in the wilderness, every once in a while I start seeing people, which is very strange because normally you only see a few thru hikers, but usually nobody. But when I saw a lot of people, it usually was a trailhead, and sure enough, you'd have a parking lot and a lot of hikers, which is great. And I would say 95% of the people know the rules, but a lot don't. There was a lot of etiquette, and especially what I'm talking about not giving the right of way being broken in the desolation wilderness near Tahoe. There's a lot of people that, I mean, that's a stunning area. There's a lot of people that go on their one backpacking on the trip on the weekend, and they don't have any experience, and that's understandable. But I think if you're going to be anywhere, you should learn the rules and the etiquette. So yeah, give people the right of way if you're going uphill. Okay, this next one bothers me a lot. Also, it's close to the first one, but it's in second place. It's more on, I see it more on my day hikes and stuff like that, where I'm around a lot of people. People aren't through hiking. But that is that, let me show you let's see what they call it, the trail courtesy triangle. Let me show you a picture here of that. And I'm sure some of you guys have seen this sign, but even when it's posted, this rule is broken all the time. So mountain bikers, where I live, I live in San Diego, there's a ton of them. And I'm fine with them being there, but they take over the trails, and they go full blast, and they don't care what the rules are, etiquette. They run the trails, and they don't even a lot of times have a bell or say, bike on your right or left, and usually scare the hell out of you. And so how this works, and this is for you mountain bikers that don't follow this rule, you are supposed to give way to hikers and horses. Hikers give way to horses. Horses have the #1 priority, and second is hikers. But mountain bikers are supposed to yield to both of us, and they never do. I don't know if it's because they feel like they have the momentum, so they don't want to stop. But you should never be riding your mountain bike out of control enough with people on the trail anyway where you can't stop, which is one of my fears, by the way, because I've been in a lot of trails where there's mountain bikers, and it's very narrow and tight and a lot of bushes. And I'm thinking, man, if some bike comes around the corner here, they're going to plow into me because there's no way they can even see me. And they generally go like out of control and go really fast. So yeah, just follow that rule. Mountain bikers yield for hikers and horses, and hikers yield for horses. Okay, one tip actually about horses for hikers is, I don't know a lot about horses. I'll be honest with you, I've never really been around them. But on the trail, I learned a lot. And first time I made this mistake was, this is somebody who didn't know there's not really a rule, but it's a courtesy. A whole line of horses were coming in the Cascade Mountains in Washington. It was a very narrow, overgrown trail. So I just got literally like a foot off the trail. That's as far as I could get off the trail without falling off a cliff. And the horses were coming up, and the horse got close to me, the first one, and I go, hey, like that, like, how's it going? Like, I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm like, hey, and it scared the hell out of the horse, and it reared up, and it scared all the horses. And I mean, they're lucky they didn't, like, the horse didn't fall off the trail or off this cliff and that kind of stuff. And so they educated me and just said, hey, when you're near horses that are coming up, you want to be seen. Don't hide and then surprise them like that. So when I get off the trail, I give them room, but I make sure they can see me. And I purposely, even if I don't care about talking to the riders, I'll say, hey, how's it going? But I'm actually doing it for the horse. I'll go, how's your ride today? But I'll do it well before they get to me. And I've never had a horse do that since. So that was on me. That was a rule, an unwritten rule that I didn't know about because I haven't been around horses, but I've learned. So just keep that in mind. In the Sierra, there's lots of mule trains, and so you deal with it a lot. Sometimes you can't get very far off trail. So just be courteous to the people that are riding those horses. Okay, so the next one for on trail, and this is a biggie that gets broken all the time, is don't crank your music loud when you're out in nature on trail and like connect it to a Bluetooth speaker. It happens all the time. That's one of the many rules I told you, that in the desolation wilderness, there's people cranking music. It's like parties, whether it's on trail or in camp. And so, you know, be courteous. People are not, it defeats the purpose of being out in nature. I'm out there to listen to all the sounds. There's birds going crazy right now around me. And there's a few other reasons, but the main thing is to be courteous to other people. Not everybody wants to hear your kind of music or a podcast you're listening to or stuff like that, or talking loud on the phone, things like that. So be courteous. If you want a solution to that, is wear earbuds so that I wear corded ones so I don't have to charge them. But wear an earbud if you want to listen to music or something like that. The one tip with that is it's very important is to try to almost always have only one earbud in. A couple reasons. If I come up behind you on trail, I've had it happen many, many times where I come up and I'm hiking faster than the person and they're cranking their music in their ears and they have no idea I'm there. And so, you know, I'm like, you know, hello, can I get by? Hello, you know, and they don't know you're there and kind of don't care. But so you want to have one earbud in so you can hear somebody that's coming behind you. Also, like in the desert portion for rattlesnakes or anything dangerous. It could be a bear, an ant, it could be anything hissing at you like a mountain lion. So having one earbud really helps. You can still listen to music. You're not ruining somebody else's experience, and you can be safe that way and let somebody by if you have to. Another small one that I don't see a lot, but I do see it here and there, is people that either have a group or they come across somebody going the other direction and they all stop in the middle of the trail and talk. And so if you have other hikers on trail, move out of the way. There's been times when I've sat there and I'll walk up to a group and they won't even, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't merge. They're just too engrossed in their conversation. So be courteous. If you decide to talk to somebody, I do it all the time. I'm going northbound and somebody's coming south. I might ask them about where the next water is or how was that river crossing or whatever happens. But we try to stand on the side of the trail, especially when it's crowded out there. I kind of alluded to earlier about mountain bikers, but if you are a mountain biker or a runner, as you approach somebody from behind that can't see you, especially if they have one earbud in, announce yourself well ahead of time. Some people have bells and things like that, but you know, you want to not only say, you know, mountain biker on your right or bike on your right, or, you know, like tell us which side you want to go to, because if you say you're going fast on a bike behind me, I could all of a sudden realize the last second jump over, I could jump right into the path of the bike. So, so just announce that you're there. It's polite to do. It also, I've been scared out of my bejesus sometimes. Just people just all of a sudden are on me, you know, and they're runners and things like that, and they're very stealth sounding. And I tend, if I'm going uphill, breathe heavy, so sometimes I don't hear them. And so even if it's not dangerous, it just scares the heck out of you. So just be courteous that way. Also, if you're hiking with a bigger group and you happen to have a little bit wider trail, maybe like the John Muir Trail or maybe the Appalachian Trail, sometimes it's wide enough you can hike 2 or 3 or 4 wide. Please don't do that. Be in a single file lane, row when you hike. It helps people coming the other way or somebody wants to pass you without having to go into the whole thing about, excuse me, can I get by and all that. Just be courteous. No, it's not just your trail, it's somebody else's. And the last one I'll say for this subject on trail is please, please don't cut switchbacks. You know, when you have switchbacks that go like this. I have a friend I no longer hike with because he broke a lot of these rules and just drove me nuts. But he was a very strong, very accomplished hiker. It was like a long time ago when I was brand new at hiking. And he cut practically every single switchback. And it not only makes the trail look horrible, but it starts eroding the trail. And when you get heavier weather and lots of rain, it starts pulling the whole trail down. And so just don't do it. I see a lot of people that are good about when you come to a switchback, they're putting somebody has started cutting it, and they'll put logs and things in the way, basically saying don't cut here, but just don't do it. It's not worth it, and it just harms the trail. Actually, I found one more that I had that I forgot about on trail, and this is the iffy one because there's times when you have to bushwhack or you go to the restroom, you got to find a place that's private and that kind of stuff, but try to stay on the trail or in campsite as much as possible. You'd be surprised if you look at the volume, like people that do the Sierras and John Muir Trail, if everybody trampled through all the plant material and all the flowers and all that, it would be thrash, and it actually, your feet and your steps damage the plant material. So just try your best to stay out of areas that are grown and beautiful meadows. That's why they want you to use, for one, they want you to use existing campsites and not put your tent on a brand new field of flowers. I see it all the time in videos. It drives me nuts in the Sierras. I've been researching because I'm going to be doing the John Muir Trail. We're just watching it again, even though I've done it on the PCT. But I was watching this in videos, and people are just finding new meadows right in the middle of the meadow, laying their tents down. And there's like 4 or 5 tents, and you're not supposed to do that. So I would just refrain from going into areas that are not the trail or not camp unless you just have to. Oh, and an addendum to that part was that it also, when you roam and go, I'm going to go way over there, and not only you're trampling down the ground, but I watch a lot of videos on YouTube about hikers that get lost, and it doesn't have to be a thru hiker. People go for a day hike, and some of the stories are crazy. They literally, they park the car and they have their dog or not, and they go walk a half mile and get lost. So we all think that it's really difficult to get lost, but it's not. Or if you fall off a cliff or you get hurt, it doesn't matter how far in the nature are you, and to say there's no service, there's no way to get help. So people just literally disappear that way. So if you do stay on the trail and in campsites, like I said, it helps reduce that. That's my only fear. When I was doing the PCT, I'm not fearful anymore of the animals that could kill you, like rattlesnakes, bears, and mountain lions. But my one kind of irrational fear, I guess, is just the fear of maybe if you ever get lost and you just can't find your way back, no matter what, and you just don't know where the trail is. That would just be horrible. And so I do watch a lot of shows on it, but it's not a morbid fascination. It's actually to learn maybe what to do better next time. I carry a Garmin when I'm on trail, so that helps. But many times when you're out in the wilderness, there's no service. So just because you have your phone doesn't mean you can get help. Okay, part 2 of the 3 is in camp etiquette. There's not a lot that I have for this, but the main thing is to be thoughtful when you go into camp and think about other people. It's amazing how many bad experiences I've had after I'm already set up with other people and somebody coming late ruins everybody's experience. So, when you come in, be quiet, be friendly and all that. But, when you're setting up, especially if you're later, there's a thing on trail we call Hiker Midnight. That's generally at 9 p.m. On the PCT, I was pretty much passed out by 8 unless I sat up and watched a show or something. But Hiker Midnight is 9 o'clock. Once it's dark, the unwritten rule is once it's dark, and in the summer it's 8:30 or 9. Once it's dark, no more talking and chattering, no more music, quiet. If you have to talk, whisper if you're with other people. But I've been in my tent trying to go to sleep and having people having basically a party outside my tent talking till wee hours of the night. It's like, what's going on, So just be thoughtful of other people. Also, one of the things I do is when I'm around camp and we're chatting, talking before we go to bed, I'll even say, because this last year I get up really early, generally like 4:45, and I'm on trail by 5:30, and it doesn't get light till 6. So usually when I get on trail, I have to have my headlamp on. But usually by 5:30, my eyes have adjusted pretty well. But there's a lot of times I have my headlamp, but I'll let them know ahead of time, just so you know, I'm gonna get up early, but I'm very quiet. I'll do my best, and use your red light. If you don't have a headlamp with a red light, get it. It's very important. You can be right next to somebody's tent in the middle of the night or in the morning and use your red light, and it will not wake them up. I just went and did a section on the PCT from Campo about a month ago. Campo, so the Mexico border to Lake Moreno is 20 miles. I went 15.4 miles to Hauser Creek. There was about 5 of us, 5 or 6 camped. We've been there like for 2 or 3 hours. It started to get dark. This couple, I want to say they were Danish, and they were very nice people when I met them the next day, but we were all had eaten, talked, and we're about to pass out. They came in right before dark, and for 2 hours, all they did was chat, and we were literally, all our tents, because it was a very small space, they were in the center of all 5 or 6 tents, and their tents were almost touching our tents, and they're talking loudly. They had a ground sheet that was brand new Tyvek, which you always know the beginners. They're shaking it out, which sounded like thunder, And then it took them forever to set up their tent because it was dark. And then they cooked their meals, and they were just talking away like we didn't exist. And we were all trying to go to sleep. And then if that one wasn't bad enough, after 2 hours, it finally stopped. I'm like, thank goodness. And I had earplugs, and I still couldn't sleep. Then they had the headlamp on, so they stopped talking, but they had a DCF tent like mine, and the headlamp was in my tent and one other one the whole time. So they were in their tent doing their thing, but it was shining through into my tent, lighting my whole tent up. So it's very frustrating, and thankfully I was just doing 2 days, so I was just there for one night. But if I'm through hiking, I would have said something, but I didn't say anything. I met them the next day. They're perfectly nice people. They just didn't know better. I didn't say anything. I didn't scold them. If I was on trail and I needed to get my rest for 20 plus miles the next day, I would have said something, but I felt like it wasn't my place, and I'm sure they'll learn as they go. And that's really it. As I said, just it's common sense, right? Think about how you want to be treated. But, you know, once it gets dark, all noise, light, music, any of that kind of stuff is turned off, and it's time to go to sleep. I sometimes watch shows, and I have earbuds on purpose so I don't keep anybody awake. So it's my preferred way of doing things to not keep people awake if I want to stay up a little bit. All right, the final and third category is just various ones that don't have anything to do with trail or camp. Some of them overlap, but the number one, I know you're going to know this ahead of time, or hopefully you did, but is leave no trace. Learn the 7 principles. You can find it on the PCTA site, any of the sites, just look it up online and learn them. It's very important. If we don't follow leave no trace, we're going to lose places for a considerable amount of time. If, like, let's say we thrash the Sierra area or some of the PCT, they'll just close it until it recoups itself. So it's very important that we, you know, get to use these places, but be respectful of not only your neighbors, but nature. And so that means, like, carry your toilet paper out, bring all your trash, you know, when you have wrappers. I pick up wrappers on trail all the time, and a lot of times you find scraps, like the part you tear off of a bar or energy gel pack, things like that. They fall on the ground a lot of times. I know people, for the most part, are littering, but I find them on the ground on the trail all the time. So take all yours, and if you see some, pick it up. All right, the next various one is, if you're going to go number 2, if you're going to go poop, there's some rules for this. This is part of the leave no trace principles, but you need to be at least 200 feet away from water, get far away from camp, go somewhere, pay attention, because my friend had this happen to him, but he went way off of camp, but because he hadn't got on the trail for the next day yet, he didn't realize that out of camp, the trail switched back right there. So he goes up out of camp up on this hillside and is doing his thing, and people walk, like 4 or 5 people walk right next to him, and he's like 2 feet from the trail that was above him that he couldn't see. So kind of pay attention to where the trail is. Maybe use your Far Out app. And but, you know, so 200 feet away from a water source and not right by the campsites. I can't tell you, one of the grossest one was actually by Eagle Creek, when you go by Tunnel Falls, you know, at the end of Oregon and almost to Cascade Locks. It's an amazing place. We were on the trail. This was so bad that I could see it from about 100 yards away, like a football field. We were looking at this beautiful campsite that we could have stopped at, but we stopped before that, the night before. But it was down here. And then as you go, there was somebody down there saying, look at these bushes. And it was a clearing about 10 feet from the camp. And there must have been 150 pieces of toilet paper. Like, you see them like little white Christmas trees sticking out of the ground. So basically they're digging a cat hole, they're going poop, and then they're wiping and leaving the toilet paper in there. But a lot of it gets, it doesn't bury all the way, or animals dig it up. And so you have all these white Christmas trees. And it was like, literally, when you look from above the trail, looking down on it, was this big campsite. And just literally next to it was all this poop. I mean, hundreds of poops. And and that's all the toilet paper I could see. I imagine there was a bunch that was buried. So you guys, oh, by the way, they were right next to a creek, like 20 feet. So that breaks almost every rule of leave no trace when it comes to pooping. So be responsible, okay? It seems like everybody treats nowadays the trail like it's disposable. Like, I'm going to get my experience. I don't care about anybody behind me. And that's not how we treat nature, right? All right, this is going to be a sensitive one for some of you, but I love dogs. I love them more than most people, to be honest with you. But when you have a dog on trail, a couple things. Clean up after your dog. I can't believe how much poop I see on the trail that's dog poop. You see coyote poop a lot, you see horse poop, you see bear poop and deer poop. But I can't believe how much dog poop I see on trail. And it's like, you're supposed to pick it up, okay? It's your responsibility as a dog owner, so please do it. The other thing is that you're supposed to be on leash. In the Sierras, I had some dogs on a leash, and they're just wreaking havoc. They're chasing marmots, and who knows if they bite somebody and or attack an animal, or get attacked or killed by an animal. So be responsible if you have an animal like that. The dogs, except for like the national parks and forests, are allowed on most of the PCT, so you can bring them out there, but just be responsible. You know, if it's a loud dog or likes to bark a lot, then maybe you shouldn't camp in a camp with a bunch of people, just out of respect. But yeah, the main thing I'm talking about here is poop, and just clean up after your dog and carry it out. The next one is actually is important to me, and it's kind of a, I'm just gonna find my water bottle spot. It's kind of an unusual one, but be friendly on trail. This sounds silly to say, but I cannot tell you in my experience on trail how many people that are coming this way, I go, hey, how's it going? And they just go like this. And don't say a word, just walk by. It's like, and I greeted them. I mean, how many, it's just weird. And so we're all out there enjoying the trail, be friendly. The other reason why this matters is because I have watched a lot of those videos where people get lost, right? If you pass me and you go, hey, how's it going? And I small talk a lot of times with people. What's your plan today? They might say, hey, are you doing the PCT? Yeah. And then I'll say, what are you doing? Oh, we're just going down to the lake and spend a night, and then we're going to go back. Well, guess what? What happens if you go missing? I can tell somebody, well, I spotted them yesterday. They said they're going down that lake, you know, because maybe nobody knows your itinerary. So it's important to give your itinerary, but if you don't, telling people who you are and what you're doing, unless you're like a single female, or maybe you feel insecure about telling some guys where you're staying, all that, I get that. But overall, be friendly and be courteous and cordial. There's no reason not to be. But yeah, it drives me nuts when sometimes people don't want to talk, and I get that. But even when I'm just walking by you, I'm like, hey, how's it going today? How's your hike going? And they say no word and act like you didn't say a word. So just be friendly out there. All right, this is some kind of town etiquette that is going to be kind of more for thru hikers or long distance hikers when you go into town stuff. But you know, you're an ambassador for the trail. If it's the PCT or the AT, wherever you're on, you know, you set an example, you set a precedent for how people perceive hikers to be. So when you go into towns, there's people, like I told you, that use the trail as, you know, I'm never coming back here again, so I don't care what happens behind me. If I litter and go poop next to camp and I'm rude to people and I, you know, trash hotel rooms, whatever. That's not how we act on trail. So we're ambassadors for the trail. So whatever experience people have with us is how they're going to reflect towards all future hikers that come through. So this is how trail angels stop being trail angels. When people, they drive them a long ways and they don't offer them any money for gas. It's not a given, but you should always offer. Most of the time, 90% of the time, they'll never take the money, but you should offer it. Being kind to people, respectful to them. Remember, we're in their town. One of the big ones is when you get into a restaurant in town, be kind to the people, you know. A lot of them, their livelihood depends on this, so tip them decently. You know, don't give them like you had a quarter left from when you made change, so you give them a quarter. Like, tip them decently. A lot of the privileges we have in towns are because people have been good and treated people right, but we lose that stuff as soon as that 1% go through and ruin it for us. So just be thoughtful. Remember, you're an ambassador and represent hikers in general and yourself in like a professional and a good way. Okay, I have just a couple more for you. Don't feed animals when you're in nature, the wildlife. Not only is some of it could be bad for them, but what happens with that habituate, is it habituate? It's hard to say, but that makes them used to you. And when they start equating the people that come into camp and human beings, they're going to start coming. And this means for bears and especially for rodents like rats and mice. So a lot of the campgrounds that have been used for a long time, that would like to get to one, it's really hard packed and bald. That means people have been going there for a very long time. That means most likely that you're going to get rodents and animals and squirrels chewing through some of your stuff and stealing your socks, and all kinds of stuff happen. So just be good about not feeding the animals. It's not, I think, you know, if it's a squirrel, you know, they probably want a nut, but you just don't feed them. Just be responsible in that way. Okay, earlier I said always carry out all of your trash, okay? I know that's a given, but trash includes, let me just say this, things like banana peels and oranges, avocado pits and the peel on the outside. And I was trying to think of some other ones, like how about eggshells? Like if you take hard-boiled eggs out, people just throw banana peels and orange stuff sometimes right on the edge of the trail. But that stuff takes forever. not forever, but it takes a very long time, and it's essentially littering. So be responsible. Bring that back with you. Remember this, leave no trace. Okay, and the last one for this video that I thought of was leave the plants, rocks, animals in place. You know, don't make giant statues, and don't try to get, you know, some kind of furry animal as your pet. I mean, most of us wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean. Leave everything where it be. Leave no trace means that you leave nothing behind. The only way to trace you is maybe your footsteps, and that's about it. Everything else should be left how it was when you got there. All right, I think that's it. I know that was kind of long, but I'm real passionate about that. I don't know if you guys are, but I've always been passionate. It was the same way with golf. It's like, if you're going to play a sport, and this is an activity, not a sport, learn the rules. And it's okay if you don't know all the rules. I didn't know when I started. I had no clue. But either learn from people that are more experienced, or these kind of videos, and just be thoughtful. And I think in life in general, not just on trail, if you're thoughtful and curious of others, you know, I think everything works out okay, and just use some common sense. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed that. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. 90% of you are not subscribers, and I would love to have you aboard. And hit the notification bell in the upper right. That way you're notified every time I have a video, if you enjoy these videos. And lastly, hit the like button. It's totally free, helps my algorithms, helps to go out to more people. We are a little over 14,000 subscribers, and working our way towards 20,000. That's my next goal. So please help make it happen. Until next time, we'll definitely see you down the trail.